I was in my early 20s when I saw Ardh Satya, that's Half-Truth. In 1983, it was a gut-wrenching film by Govind Nihalani, written by Vijay Tendulkar, starring consummate actors like Nasiruddin Shah, Smita Patil, Amrish Puri, and Sadashiv Amrapurkar, who played a vindictive petty politician. It was Om Puri's debut film. He played a dreadfully honest cop who succumbs to the corruption and violence around him. The film ends in a brutal murder, but that crime is a half-truth. It's an evil, yet compellingly moral act caught in the penumbra of right and wrong. The film invokes the sheer perfidy of a half-truth. It's far more dangerous than a polarizing lie or the irrefutable truth, because the crevices of a half-truth can nourish innuendo, invective, smears, cruelty, hate, and that's far more ambiguous and far more lethal than the black and white of lies and truth. I was reminded about Ardh Satya when the government made an astonishing assertion in Parliament saying there were no deaths due to a shortage of oxygen in the second wave of the pandemic. Speaking extremely narrowly, exceedingly technically, the government could be right, because every patient is in a hospital for a specific morbidity. It could be COVID, it could be cancer, it could be lung infection. Nobody is there because he wants to inhale oxygen, which may be a fad, but it's not an illness. So when the poor chap dies because of a sudden disruption in oxygen supply, you would expect the hospital to issue a death certificate, which records that the patient suffering from COVID, or the one suffering from cancer, or the one suffering from lung infection died at XYZ hours on ABC date. But we all know that is a devastating Ardh Satya, a half-truth. The whole country has seen horrible pictures of gasping patients, helpless doctors, screaming, desperate relatives, serpentine queues of corpses outside crematoriums. Unfortunately, this ugly testimony has fallen into the crevices of half-truths, of an abbreviated death certificate, which perhaps does not have a column for oxygen shortage. I guess it's the season of half-truths because the government will not tell us whether it is the proud owner of Pegasus or not. I mean, it's a simple yes-no answer, but cabinet ministers are using excessive verbiage to, mouth a series of clever dodges or half-truths. We ain't done the hack is their response when the question is, are you one of the vetted governments which has bought this sophisticated hacking spyware from Israel? What about the New York Times report, which cites an NSO source that India is one among 6 buyers? These are foreign forces trying to smother our progress is their rote, repeated refrain when the question is, if a Videshi Shakti, that is, if a foreign power is snooping on our key ministers, politicians, officials, journalists, even judges perhaps, why aren't you moving heaven and earth to nab the culprit? What's more, the biggest casualty is the French president and 14 of his cabinet ministers. So India was not the primary target, right? In any case, what would a diabolic foreign power gain by hacking the phone of the poor lady who accused India's then Chief Justice of sexual harassment? Or why would they go after Rahul Gandhi's friends instead of targeting India's Prime Minister, Home Minister, and Defense Minister? But Amnesty has already denied that such a list is authentic, is an ingenious catapult, when the question is, how can you accuse over a dozen foreign publications of creating a chronology to disrupt the monsoon session of India's parliament when that event, frankly, is not even on their calendar? The Congress party wants to thwart our forward march. It is aligned with anti-India forces, is a sort of stock whiplash, when the question is, why aren't you setting up a crack investigation team to prise apart this utterly criminal conspiracy, since hacking, remember, is completely illegal under our laws? So, you must hand it to the government for remarkably consistent tactics. Just deflect, one answerable question after another with a barrage of unrelated half-truths, because innuendo, invective, and smears glide so easily into the crevices of Ardh Satya. Now, India's vaccination facts, unfortunately, they've become the most destructive half-truths of all time. Around Independence Day last year, that's the 15th of August 2020, the country was assured that we were on top of our vaccination strategy. Exactly 140 days later, we learned that no order had been confirmed even for a single vial, as the vaccination drive was about to commence a fortnight later. Then we were told that all frontline workers and senior citizens, that's about 300 million of them, would be fully vaccinated by July 2021. That's in this month. As we stand today, less than a third of that target has been achieved. Next, we were told that every resident adult would be fully vaccinated by December 2021, a target which required a daily average of 10 million vaccination doses. But you know what? We are struggling at under 4 million right now. Finally, the government gave such inconsistent answers in a single day in Parliament that even the half-truths were confronted by new half-truths. In one response, Covishield's monthly capacity was 110 million. In another, it magically became 130 million. Now, the true numbers around Covaxin's monthly capacity were even more brazenly unpredictable. They were moving from 25 million, 17.5 million, 20 million, 55 million to 80 million. What can one say here? What happens when one half-truth is multiplied by 3 other half-truths? Mathematically, it becomes 1 by 625th truth. I rest my case on how Ardh Satya, half-truth, has become the dodgy tactic of governance in our half-democracy.